shall be able to classify obesity, can describe the causes, can enumerate risk factor for obesity and measures for prevention and control of obesity. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
First, we will see what is overweight, obesity, and what is morbidity. Definition of obesity. Obesity is a state of excess adipose tissue mass. It can be large in size or can be more in number. So other definition is the disease of caloric imbalance that results from an excess intake of calories above their consumption by the body. So when we take extra calories, so it will store in adipose tissue and it will cause hypertrophy and hyperplasia of adipocytes. The definition by the WHO is a BMI greater than or equal to 25 is called overweight and BMI greater than or equal to 30 is called obesity. For adults, most commonly used measure for overweight and obesity is the BMI, body mass index. So this is a simple index to classify overweight and obesity in adults, can be used in mass population. It is defined as the weight in kilograms divided by the square of the height in meters. Now the other approaches to quantify obesity are anthropometry, that is skin fold thickness, and densitometry, CT or MRI, and electrical impedance. So this is the formula of BMI, weight divided by height in meter square, weight in kg. WHO classification of BMI, how we can classify the obesity according to the basal metabolic index. Less than 18.5 is known as underweight. 18.5 to 24.9 is normal weight. 25 to 29.9 comes in overweight. 30 to 34.9 is obesity class 1. 35 to 39.9 is obesity class 2. 40 to 49.9 is obesity class 3. And 50 and above comes in super obesity. More about BMI. So values are age independent and same for both sexes. So it can be used universally for both sexes. Then at similar BMI, fat content in women is more than the man. BMI 30 is the threshold for obesity. BMI 25 to 30 is medically significant and require intervention. And at a given BMI, women on average have more body fat. Morbidity and mortality increase with BMI, similarly for men and women. And risk at a given BMI can vary between the populations. Other indices that can be used are Broca's index. It is the height in centimeter divided by 100. It can be used. So height in centimeter divided by 100 can give your ideal weight. The other indices are Corpulence index and Ponderal index, Lorentz formula. These are the different indices for obesity. Then childhood obesity is one of the most serious public health challenges of the 21st century, apart from the adult and elder obesity. Overweight children are likely to become obese adults and more likely than non-overweight children to develop diabetes and cardiovascular disease at a younger age, and there are higher chances of premature death and disability. Now, epidemiological determinants. First, we will see non-modifiable risk factor. It includes age, sex, genetic factor. And modifiable risk factor includes eating habits, physical inactivity, socioeconomic status, education, psychosocial factors, endocrine factors, alcohol, smoking, and drugs. These are the modifiable risk factors which we can modify. Now, types of obesity. There are two types: android, also called as abdominal or central or apple-shaped obesity. Second is gynecoid, also called as peripheral or pear-shaped obesity. This is a picture of super obese male with a BMI of 47 kg per meter square. Weight of the person is 146 kg. Height is 177 centimeter. Okay. So ideally, it is a BMI of 47. So it is comes in the super obese male. Now we will see what are the causes of obesity. Lack of energy balance. Then that is comes in metabolic factor. Then genetic factors, genes and family history. Then hormonal factor include endocrine hypothyroidism, Cushing syndrome, PCOD, also hypogonadism. Then drugs include corticosteroids, antidepressant and seizures. Then emotional factors, alcoholism and smoking cessation. These are the main factors which can cause obesity. Now, other causes of obesity are pregnancy, lack of sleep, inactive lifestyle, work schedule, lack of access to healthy foods, food advertising, lack of neighborhood sidewalk, and safe places for recreation. These are the other causes. Now, some examples of the causes include like cost of the food has decreased, then more food is prepared away from home, and energy dense food and drinks are readily available, and portion size have increased, marketing of energy dense food or drinks had increased, the use of cars has increased, so it will lead to inactive lifestyle. The number of two-income families has increased. Most of the families has two or more person which are earning, so it also leads to the obesity. Then this is the biochemical basis. First we will see there are three components for energy balance. One is afferent or peripheral system to generate signals from the various sites. Afferent and peripheral system generate signals from the various sites. These include leptin, adiponectin by the fat cell, then ghrelin from the stomach, and peptide YY from the ileum and colon, and insulin from the pancreas. These are the afferent signals for the hunger or obesity. Second is arcuate nucleus in hypothalamus processes and integrate neurohumoral peripheral signals. Generate different signals composed of two subsets of first order neuron. First is POMC, that is pro-opiomelanocortin, and CART, that is cocaine and amphetamine regulated transcripts neurons. These are the first order neurons. Second is neuropeptide Y and AGRP. These first order neurons communicate with the second order neuron and then carry signal from second order neuron of hypothalamus to control food intake and energy expenditure. So first afferent signal will goes to first order neuron, then it will transfer it to second order neuron, then second order neuron transfer it to the hypothalamus which control the food intake and energy expenditure. Now we will see. Look at this: leptin, insulin, ghrelin. Leptin from adipocyte, insulin from pancreatic B cell, and ghrelin from the stomach. These are the afferent signals. So it gives signals to the first order neuron and then to the second order neuron and then to the hypothalamus. So these all causes These all inhibit anabolic circuit. Anabolic circuit means synthesis circuit is inhibited. Okay, and then it will lead to food intake decrease and energy expenditure increase. If these leptin, insulin, ghrelin are decreased, then it will lead to catabolic circuits, and then it leads to increased food intake and decreased energy expenditure. Understood? The hormones, neuropeptides, drugs that affects the food behavior are, so there are norepinephrine and growth hormone releasing hormone, it increase the food intake, whereas serotonin and dopamine decrease the food intake. Second is neuropeptide and hormone, opioid, galanin, neuropeptide Y, oxytocin, melanin, cortin, concentrating hormone, ghrelin, gastric inhibitory peptide. These are the neuropeptide or hormone which increase food intake, and cholecystokinin, then melanocortin, peptide YY, amylin, adipsin, leptin. These are the neuropeptide and hormone which decrease food intake. Now some medication is sibutramine and amphetamine are the drugs which decrease food intake, and corticosteroid, tranquilizer, progestin, and some antidepressant are the drugs which increase the food intake. Factor released by the adipocytes that can affect the peripheral tissue are complement factors, that is factor D, adipsin, and the hormones include leptin, adiponectin, resistin. Cytokines include tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 6, substrate, it is free fatty acid glycerol, then enzyme aromatase, L1 beta HSD1, then others include PA1, angiotensinogen, and RBP4. These are the factors which release from the adipocyte and affect the peripheral tissue. So it can act as a afferent signals to the first order neuron. Then what is leptin? It is produced by the adipocytes in liver. It is the product of OB gene. The gene which synthesizes leptin is called OB gene. It provides signals for energy sufficiency. Then abundant fat causes leptin secretion increases. It is regulated by insulin, stimulated glucose metabolism, and it stimulates thermogenesis, activity, energy expenditure. So we should have more leptin to conquer the obesity because it stimulates thermogenesis, activity, energy expenditure. Okay. Then mutation in leptin, MC4R, that is melanocortin receptor 4 mutation. It is more frequent cause of 5% massive obesity. So there will be no satiety signal generated, and the person will behave as if undernourished. So he will take more and more food. Then adiponectin, it is produced mainly by the adipocytes. Low level seen in obesity. It stimulates fatty acid oxidation, also called as fat burning molecule. It is guardian angel against the obesity. So it decreases the fatty acid influx in liver and liver glucose production, and it protects against the metabolic syndrome. Like this, adiponectin acts in conquering the obesity or inhibiting the obesity. Also, it stimulates the cyclic AMP activated protein kinase, and inactivate the acetyl coenzyme A and carboxylase, that is the key enzyme in fatty acid synthesis. So it inhibits the fatty acid synthesis. So it decreases the deposition of fat in the liver. Next, adipose tissue also produces tumor necrosis factor, interleukin 6, interleukin 1, interleukin 18, chemokine, and steroids. Next are the gut hormone. Short-term meal initiator and terminator. These are the short-term meal initiator and terminator. Ghrelin, pancreatic polypeptide, and insulin. These are secreted from the pancreas. Ghrelin from the stomach. So it is most likely stimulates NP1 and AGRP neurons. So it is associated with the hyperphagia, obesity in Prader-Willi syndrome. If there is any mutation, it will lead to obesity in Prader-Willi syndrome. Next is medical complication of obesity. First is CVA, that is stroke, cerebrovascular accidents. Then it may lead to cataract, congestive heart disease, diabetes, dyslipidemia, hypertension, severe pancreatitis. Also lead to cancer, include breast, uterus, cervix, colon, esophagus, pancreas, kidney, and prostate. Then phlebitis and pulmonary disease include obstructive sleep apnea, hyperventilation syndrome, then non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, steatosis, steatohepatitis, cirrhosis, gallbladder disease, then gynecological problems like abnormal menses, infertility, PCOD, osteoarthritis, gouts. These are the complications related with the obesity. Morbidity associated with the obesity. Individuals who are obese are at greater risk of developing obstructive sleep apnea, osteoarthritis, cardiovascular disorder, gastrointestinal disorder, metabolic disorder, endometrial, prostate and breast cancer, complication of pregnancy, menstrual irregularities, and psychological disorders. So 80% of type 2 diabetes mellitus patients are obese. It will lead to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Circulating peptides like tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 6, RBP6, adiponectin, resistin have altered the expression and modified the insulin action. You can see type 2 diabetes is seen in 55% of the patient whose BMI is more than or equal to 30. Then BMI more than or equal to 25 and less than 30, these patients are 30%. And BMI less than or equal to 25 is 50%. So, ये दोनों को मिला दिया BMI 55% and 30%, it is more than 80% of the patient who are suffering from type 2 diabetes are obese. Then cardiovascular system. So obesity is an independent risk factor for coronary artery disease and congestive heart failure. Then waist hip ratio is the best predictor. Abdominal obesity associated with the atherogenic lipid profile, hypertension. So abdominal obesity or apple-shaped obesity is more harmful in cases of cardiovascular disease. So patients who are having abdominal obesities are at higher risk for cardiovascular diseases. So obesity leads to insulin resistance, increased insulin level, increased free fatty acid synthesis, increased triglyceride, and lead to cardiovascular disease. And metabolic syndrome seen in the patient of abdominal obesity. There is also insulin resistance, hypertriglyceridemia, low serum HDL level, increased risk of coronary artery disease, and is seen in more Indians probably due to low level of adiponectin. Metabolic syndrome is seen in more Indians. Now reproductive disorder. In male, hypogonadism leads to decreased plasma testosterone and sex hormone binding globulin. Estrogen levels are increased, leads to musculization, libido, potency, spermatogenesis preserved. Now in female, it leads to menstrual irregularities, oligomenorrhea, increased androgen production, decreased sex hormone binding globulin, PCOD, anovulation, obesity, and hirsutism. These are the consequences of obesity in female. Now related to GIT, patients are more susceptible for gallstone, pancreatitis, abdominal hernia, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Then gallstone, there is increased cholesterol that enhance the biliary excretion of cholesterol, leads to supersaturated bile and cholelithiasis. The non-alcoholic fatty liver disease strongly associated with obesity, dyslipidemia, and type 2 diabetes. Presents like steatosis and steatohepatitis. 10 to 20% patients develop into cirrhosis. Then in CNS, it leads to stroke, increased blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and elevated cholesterol level. These three are the contributing factor. Then depression leads to sleep disturbance, bone, joint, and cutaneous disorders, osteoarthritis, trauma and joint malalignment, and gout. And skin condition are acanthosis nigrans, enhancing of risk of fungal and yeast infection. And obesity and cancer. Both sexes affect equally with high mortality rate. In male, CA esophagus, CA colon, CA rectum, CA pancreas, CA liver, and prostate are more common. In female, CA gallbladder, CA bile duct, CA breast, CA endometrium, CA cervix, and CA ovaries are more common. In Cushing syndrome, there is increased cortisol level. It promotes the deposition of adipose tissue in peculiar distribution. In upper face, it will called as moon faces. In interscapular area, it is called as buffalo hump. In mesenteric bed, it is called as truncal obesity. These are the important features of Cushing syndrome. Now, hypothyroidism, there is weight gain in spite of poor appetite, and it is mainly due to the fluid retention. So, patient who are complaining of poor appetite and along with that weight gain, we have to suspect the hypothyroidism. In insulinoma, there is weight gain as a result of overeating to avoid hypoglycemic symptom. In insulinoma, more and more insulin is secreted that will lead the patient to hypoglycemic state when patient feels eating repeatedly, and this overeating result in the weight gain. Then craniopharyngioma is tumor arising from the Rutgers pouch. Pressure effect on hypothalamus leads to obesity. Then come to management. Our goal is to reduce or prevent the comorbidities. Then management includes first is diet therapy, then physical activity, behavioral therapy, pharmacotherapy, and surgery. These are the important heads in management. So for overweight person, first we will do the lifestyle modification that include diet and physical activity. Then in obesity class 1, pharmacotherapy, we have to give drugs, and in obesity class 1 and class 2. In obesity class 3, the surgery is required. Then the food pyramid, the food you eat have been divided into 3 groups according to the how nutritious they are. They make up what is often called as the food pyramid. So there are 3 food groups. Group 1 is the things you should try to eat a lot. That includes fruits and vegetables, pulses, and grains such as rice and wheat. So you should eat these foods in large amount. Second group include these food you should eat moderately. Include dairy products such as milk, cheese, yogurt, lean meat, chicken without skin, fish, nuts. Then group 3 includes foods which you have to eat sometimes, like sweet biscuits, chocolate coated bars, potato chips, ice cream, lollies and chocolates, cake or muffins. So these are the group 3 foods which you have to take once a while. Now this is the rough guideline of energy need in kilocalories. Children 2 to 3 years, if they are sedentary, require 1000 kilocalories. If they are active, require 1400 kilocalories. Females 14 to 18 years require 1800 and 2400 kilocalories respectively for sedentary and active lifestyle. 19 to 30 years require 2000 to 2400 kilocalories energy for sedentary and active lifestyle. Male 14 to 18 years require 2200 and 3200 for sedentary and active persons respectively. In age group 19 to 30, for sedentary person 2400 and for active person 3000 kilocalorie energy is required per day. I am telling only these two groups. Now for the super obese or obesity class 3, surgery is required, that is laparoscopic gastric band and the Roux and Y gastric bypass surgery. These are the bariatric surgery which can use. There are many subtypes for these surgeries. Then biliopancreatic diversion with duodenal switch and biliopancreatic diversion. These are the different surgeries. Then what are the benefits of physical activity? So physical activity leads to cardiovascular fitness, healthy weight. It improves our posture, it reduces blood cholesterol level, better sleep, then boost self-esteem and confidence. It improves concentration, reduce stress, depression and anxiety. It enhances the social skills. Also, it will elevate our mood. Keep our mood in a good way. And how to design a fitness program? If you are considering to have a fitness program for you or for someone else, you have to consider the goal. Then think about the things you like and dislike, including food and activity. Choose activities you will enjoy. Then plan a logical progression of activity. It should be logical progression. You should not set a goal that is too high to initiate. You have to start slowly. Then build activity into your daily routine. Think variety of the activity. Then allow the time for recovery. Put it on the paper. A written plan may encourage you to stay on track. So it should be on blueprint to implement more effectively. Then for getting started, start slowly and build up gradually. Break things up if you have to. Then be creative. Include other activities such as walking, bicycling, rowing or dancing in your routine. Listen to your body. Don't push yourself too hard. If you are not feeling well, leave it for 1 or 2 days. Don't push yourself too hard. Then be flexible. If you are not feeling good, give yourself permission to take a rest, a day or 2 days off. Then how you monitor your progress? Then assess your progression at 6 weeks after you start the program, and then again every 3 to 6 months. You will need to increase the amount of time you exercise in order to continue improving. Then if you lose motivation, set new goals or try a new activity. Don't let it go. Then exercising with a friend or taking a class at a local fitness center may also help you to motivate yourself. Then being fit is a way of saying a person eats well. That's a lot of physical activity, exercise that has a healthy way. If you are fit, your body works well. You feel good and can do all the things you want to do, like run around with your friends and children. So, what can you do at individual level? You can eat more fruits and vegetables, include more legumes, whole grain and nuts in the diet. Limit the intake of sugar and salt consumption from all sources. Don't eat junk food. Limit energy intake from total fat and shift fat consumption away from saturated fat to unsaturated fat. More of the omega-3, omega-6 and omega-9 fatty acids should be included in our diet. And drink more water instead of sugary drink. Achieve and maintain a healthy weight. Engage in regular physical activity, at least of 30 minutes. Then limit TV watching in kids. Then what communities can do to prevent the obesity? Create and maintain safe neighborhood for physical activity and improve access to parks and playgrounds. Then advocate for quality physical education in schools and childcare facilities. Then support breastfeeding programs. What the private sector can do? So they voluntarily reduce the sugar, salt and fat content of the processed food. Then ensure that healthy and nutritious choices are available and affordable to all consumers. Then avoid marketing of junk food, particularly to the children. Ensure the availability of the healthy food choices and support regular physical activity practice at the workplace. Then what government can do? They can create the public awareness about the diet and physical activity through mass media and other means of communication. Then they can put tax on unhealthy food and subsidize the locally produced fruits and vegetables. They can promote healthy policies and create an environment for walking, bicycling, sports, and other physical activity. Also, they can enforce regulation for ensuring healthy diet.